One of the things that I find really interesting about the life of Paul is the way that God's providence worked in his life. He was born a Roman citizen, which gave him many benefits. It was a coveted citizenship to have, and he had it. He was born with it. That was God's providence. We see in one of the stories in the book of Acts where Paul's about to get scourged. He brings up his Roman citizenship and he says, is it legal for you to scourge a Roman citizen? And the commander would later ask him, you're a Roman? I paid a lot of money, a large sum of money to get the citizenship. And Paul tells him, yeah, but I was born a Roman citizen. And that's really interesting. It's also interesting the city where Paul was born, in Tarsus. This was a city that was magnificent in history. It has a lot of historical value. And it was a city that was very advanced in many ways. And so it's interesting to see that Paul was among the social elites, really, and that God would use that later on in his life. Paul, of course, would be humbled. And Paul, of course, would later describe only himself, not as a Roman, not as a citizen of Tarsus, not as a Hebrew of Hebrews, but he would really call himself a slave of Christ and an apostle that was sent to the Gentiles. It's also powerful in the empire where he lived, Rome. Rome had connected to the world in a way that it had never been connected before. And that's interesting because we have to realize that the infrastructure that Rome had built, all the roads, there was a saying that said all roads lead to Rome. And here we find Paul in this amazing empire where he has a citizenship, where he's able to travel. And he becomes the man that spreads the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the whole world. And here's the thing. God's providence is still at work because you and I get to now read the book of Romans and glean from it. That's special. So if you want to learn more about Romans, if you want to know more about the story of Paul and how God is glorified in this story and how God is glorified in this letter that he wrote to the Romans, join our Bible study. It's online. The link is going to be posted along with this video. And I would encourage you to sign up and maybe tell a friend if you want and join us, and we can learn together more about God's providence through the book of Romans.